Hello, guys. Welcome back to another episode of our beautiful show, the Football Exponential Show. And on today's episode, I'm joined by my esteemed European colleague, Kingsley. Thanks for making time of your busy schedule to join us today to talk about all things football. So on today's segment, we'll be talking about Champions League football, a bit of Spanish football, and some players and some of our favorite players so far this season in across different leagues, and some other little discussions we've had on our group chats um, last few days. So let's go straight into it. What do you have for us today?
All right. First of all, it's good to be back on the show. Hi, viewers. I
Yeah,
hope we've continued to enjoy all the entertainment
yeah,
from Football Exponential. But
yeah.
what we've got on the show today, obviously, when you see me, there's good news, there's good things to look out for when we think about European football. And we'll be looking at the recap of the
Wait,
Champions League.
just a question.
Mhm.
I don't think I like how happy you are. It
Well,
doesn't
that's a
just
you problem.
no. Like there's this no, like because obviously you don't we're not blessed by your presence weekly, and I'm just gonna I don't like how happy you are. It feels like things are too are going your way. I'm just like I need a bit of a negativity in there somehow. Just throw a bit of negativity in there just to get you to mix your mood up. Well, continue. Let's
Yeah,
go.
no, I'm happy that I'm happy, and I'm sure there's a lot of people that feel the same way. Too bad for you, Frank. You're not one of those, but you
Yeah,
probably need to.
certainly, certainly not.
You probably have to wait it out and see if anything changes, but I doubt that's gonna happen. But
Yeah,
yeah, in terms of what we're looking to discuss, yeah, we're looking at the UEFA Champions League recap. We're looking at some of the interesting, amazing football
yeah,
that we saw over the week. And of course, one of the reasons why I'm happy is that Barcelona has successfully gone through to the quarterfinal.
mm,
And well, so is some of our neighbors as well. In the Spanish football as well, they made it. It's unfortunate that is one has to go for the other. But Real Madrid also made it to the quarterfinal.
yeah,
On the English side of things as well, it's good to see at least they have two representation of English teams there in terms of Arsenal and Aston Villa. Um, and then we also interesting clash between the two Bayerns, and then there's the Munich that made it out, and then we'll be looking at Inter Milan, and I think that's the least surprising one if you think about it.
yeah.
Yeah,
I
and
think I think the Arsenal and Inter Milan ties were it's quite straightforward in the end.
Ye- Yeah, and speaking
Yeah,
of the less straightforward ones, we saw PSG make it through at the
yeah,
expense of Liverpool. So yeah, so those were interesting games, and that kind of give some of us the desired results, some of us surprises we saw like based off our predictions. But
okay,
either ways, it's interesting. And now looking into that, we'll also be looking at those who, based off the results, are now position themselves as favorites, or
yeah,
based off the run. Because it's an interesting thing that if you think about it, the new mix that was thrown into the competition, now you can tell your path from, I believe, the round 16, past round
yeah,
16, you can tell your path.
yeah,
So
yeah, yeah.
yeah, so based off that, we know the anticipated opponents of certain teams and how that kind of poises them towards their routes to lifting the trophy. And maybe we kick off with that. So, based off the teams that have qualified, based off the games that they will have to play, who do you
So
consider to be the favorite and why?
okay, so from this, so just looking at it now, so we obviously have on the next round we have the Arsenal Real Madrid tie, and then the same brackets
Hmm.
alongside them is Paris Saint-Germain and Aston Villa.
Yeah.
And on the other side of the draw, you have Barcelona hosting Dortmund in the first leg and Inter Milan away to Bayern Munich. So, okay, let's start from the top. The Arsenal Real Madrid. I think that's against your eternal rivals in Spanish football. What
Interesting.
do you think the title butlers in England, Arsenal, have a chance against mighty Real Madrid?
This is the case of
Football heritage, Real Madrid.
this is the case of the head versus the heart conversation. I did see an interesting thing go off social media where somebody tried to introduce the clash as the clash of the mighty, and then I saw very comical. conversation in my point of view. No offense to Arsenal fans, not that I care that you take offense in it, but still no offense. I saw an interesting um play of words when they're like the 15th time UEFA Champions League holder would be playing against the 14th time FA Cup winners, and I'm like, what did
Yeah.
I just read?
One is not the same as the other.
And I'm like, what did
No,
I
but
just read? But anyway, like you have to be you have to be proud of your heritage regardless of the size, I guess.
yeah,
Um,
yeah, yeah,
but, but in this case, despite the heart wanting Arsenal to win, if I need to take precedence with my brains, I see Real Madrid knocking them out. And I don't think it's going to be as close as it were with Atletico Madrid. I don't see that going into extra time. I see Real Madrid doing the job over two legs um, against this Arsenal side, except something happens. I mean, it's still a good couple of weeks. Football changes quite rapidly these days,
yeah,
but putting everything on paper, looking at the caliber of players, their ability to step up, the whichever side of fortune your coin falls on, which most likely everybody knows that it's always going to fall on the side of Madrid from the side of fortune. I still see Real Madrid going through. Um,
yeah.
and, uh, but I don't think that is the most. I don't personally. I don't. It sounds like the biggest game in like when you think about the calendar for this quarterfinal. But I don't think that will be the most interesting game. I think the most
Yeah,
interesting one will be the Inter Bayern Munich game.
yeah. You know what you say that, but I have a different thought on that on that regard. But regarding Arsenal Real Madrid, it's I think this is one of those rare occasions you get a team like Real Madrid they've won the most Champions League ever. Again, coming up against one of a so-called big team in European football who has the grand total of zero Champions League titles. Well, I feel on this is it's my with because there's gonna be a bit of a break in club football leading up to the international break,
Hmm.
and I'm not quite sure of I don't know I doubt if Saka can make the first or second leg of this tie, and we all know what he brings to this Arsenal team, and that would be a great miss for Arsenal. But I just feel if Real Madrid turn up, how I expect them to turn up, with the right intensity, the right intensity, the right ideas, and the right coordination in how they approach the game, I see them getting past Arsenal quite not comfortably, but I'm sure they can get the job done. And for Arsenal, it's a bit. I don't know if Arsenal play a bit into this to the meat of Real Madrid where they play understand Real Madrid that obviously the favourites will go through, and they play with that mindset where they go into the game. We know Arsenal's strengths. Arsenal are very strong off set pieces. They have enough quality to get a goal on the counter attack if they have to. And if they can play on those margins, frustrate Real Madrid, because we saw with Atletico Madrid this past week, that if you really frustrate them, they really sometimes they just lack ideas in the final third to get chances. So I think it will be a very interesting game for neutral to watch. I'm looking forward to that game. But I expect Real Madrid to make it through to the semi-final from that time. Or
Yeah,
with yeah. And moving on to the next one to Paris Saint-Germain. An informed Paris Saint-Germain looking like I think it's safe to say that they've been probably the most exciting team to watch in this last few weeks in the Champions League. They have a lot of exciting players. Big Usman Dembele is finally living up to his promise. They added Cavadona from Napoli as well, and some other, especially the guys in midfield, Vitinha, Gian Neves, and Fabian Ruiz. Who just a bit on Fabian, I felt he didn't really get enough credit for his role in that Spanish winning Euro team. But I think he's been a fantastic player. I've loved watching him from his days back in Napoli. For Paris Saint-Germain and Aston Villa, what do you think about it? This is another. This is we could potentially have two English teams in the semi-final if
yeah,
if they both
yeah.
make it too. Yeah,
Yeah, that's a great potential if you think about it. But on the flip side, you probably might not have any English team in the semifinal.
yeah,
Eh,
yeah.
There's also a possibility.
So who go
I
who do
genuinely
who?
I think PSG has enough firepower. Just alluding to your point, like they've been like since the start of the year 2025, they've been the most impressive team in terms of turnaround as to what they were before. the end of last year and what they are right now. The football is cohesive. They attack attack confidently. Every time they go
They
down the
defend.
flank, they know what
Yeah,
they're doing. The midfield is very solid and very zip with their passing. Like it's like I was watching that game against Liverpool, and I barely could count how many times Fabian Ruiz touched the ball more than two or max three times in a play. He's just like 1-2, 1-2, and keep the midfield ticking. Vitia is
yeah.
also very composed. On and
No,
off the
but yeah,
ball, they work hard as well. The defense
yeah.
is surprisingly solid, like if you think about it. Considering one goal against the
Mm,
quick ramp
yeah,
fire Liverpool, we have to give them credit for that as well. The goalkeeper in Donnarumma, it can be is a suspect there, depending on what side of the day
yeah.
you get. Like it was the villain in the first leg and the hero in the second one, so that explains it. But I still think that this is where quality, experience, consistency, and appearances would probably count against Aston Villa. They've got their own strength. I think currently amongst the managers who haven't won the trophy that is still up for it. I think Unai Emery is one of the smartest of them all. He's a tactical genius. He knows how to coordinate his sides. He knows clearly how to communicate his idea to his players, and you see them execute on those ideas. Um, and even if you think about them as a relatively inexperienced side in this in modern day Champions League football, but they brought in some players who kind of understand the tournament in Asenio. He's played quite a couple of times. He's also a winner on multiple occasions as well.
Multiple, yeah.
Yeah, so
Marcus Rashford as well.
Marcus Rashford as well, maybe not as
Yeah,
successful in terms of trophies, but at least in appearance, he kind of understands
yeah,
what it is to be on a Champions League night.
yeah,
I expect those players to come through there. Watkins' form seems to be coming back up again, so maybe if he keeps it
yeah.
consistent, maybe that can help. But the interesting thing about VA when you think about it is that you're not banking on any individual player specifically to get them through, which in itself could be a
It's
good
a
thing,
it's a
but also could be
collective
yeah.
effort. Yeah,
Yes, collective and also so far for the games that I've played, like that I watched them play, for example, they played Bayern Munich and they represented themselves extremely well. They made the Club Brugge style very comfortable for themselves as well.
yeah,
They're not in any major run-ins for any other trophy besides this one, so they might be able to get some rest if they need to, right?
yeah.
Yeah, and I
So,
think
so you're okay. So you're tipping. I'm guessing you're tipping Paris Saint-Germain to make it
yeah,
through.
I tip
Okay.
Paris Saint-Germain to make it through, but I don't think it's gonna be like I don't think it's going to be like
Yeah,
a whooping. It's going to be tighter than a lot of
yeah.
people might imagine that it is.
I I think I'm gonna go the other way on this one, and I feel this potentially has the makings of one of the big surprises this season in the Champions League. Because let's not, I feel it seems like every year in this competition, you always get one surprise every now and
Mm-hmm,
then, one surprise team
mm-hmm,
that not necessarily makes it all the way. Like we saw, it was Dortmund last year who made it all the way to the final. But I
mm-hmm,
think in this tie, you have Unai Emery going up against his former employees in Paris. But I
mm-hmm,
feel he's the right. I feel in Unai Emery and what he's already achieved at Villa so far. I think that's the right blend of European experience and quality in the Aston Villa squad to get the better of Paris Saint-Germain over two legs. And with guys like because I mentioned Rashford, he's a guy he has experience of knocking out Paris Saint-Germain in the knockouts, and I think it was a knockout tie, a
mm-hmm,
few years ago, back then when he was still in his best parts of his United career.
mm-hmm.
So I'm tipping Aston Villa to make it really uncomfortable for them in the first leg away from home. Try and hopefully get a result. But we've seen with Paris, they create a lot of chances, but they're not the most clinical of teams in the Champions League, considering the opposition they play against. So I won't be surprised if say Villa go to
Well,
Paris and get like say they can I'm sure they can get a result in Paris and they bring it back to Villa Park. I I bet they can do something there. I could be wrong, but I sense. Because I feel Unai Emery is the master in this knockout competitions. He knows how to manage the game in stages and gets his best players in the best moment. And another point that could be crucial for Villa is the fact that Ollie Watkins has not been selected for international duty. So it's going to be, I expect him to be at home resting up for this big time. Yeah, so we've got Paris. Well, I think we've got Real Madrid and 50-50 on Paris and Aston Villa.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, good stuff, good stuff. So to the next one, let's talk about
The reasons
Bayern
why I'm
Munich and Inter.
happy.
Let's talk about the let's talk about yeah, let's talk about Barcelona and Borussia Dortmund. How do you feel about this tie?
Oh well, in in football, theoretically, it's always best to assume that there are no easy ties, especially when you're in the quarterfinal of any competition, let alone Champions League. But
Yeah,
of most of the teams left in the competition, besides Aston Villa, I think Dortmund will be a less challenging opponent in terms of complexity of the game. However, despite playing against Dortmund and getting the results in the group stages, I think since then they've moved on from the manager. They have a guy now that seems to understand and have worked with Hansi Flick, which is the Barca's manager as well. Um,
that's because yeah. So that's an sorry to coach. That's an interesting point because this is one of those rare occasions where because they were both on Bayern Munich together when
mhm.
what's it called Niko Kovac
Yeah,
was the head coach
yeah,
and Hansi Flick was his assistant then. The Kovac gets sacked I think about 18 months after I stayed there.
mhm,
And Flick comes in as the interim head coach, wins the treble, and the rest of this is history. Then he goes on to become the German national team coach, then back at Bayern Munich. So it's a very funny meeting
mhm,
of
mhm.
two past colleagues. But I'm sure it's a very just okay. I think I'll let you go into detail on this, but I feel this is where you expect Barcelona to make it through all the way to semi-final. I'm sure the games are going to be exciting because these are both teams that really struggle to defend most times. Not really Barcelona most times, but they have the capacity to be a bit careless at the back sometimes. It's mistakes like we saw in the first leg against Benfica. But I expect Barcelona to make it through to this. I expect them to get a sizable home advantage, then just do the business away in Signal and Duna Park in Germany.
Yeah,
Am I right?
um,
Or are you at all any worried, or you're just a bit? Of course, you have to respect the team you come up against, because I don't think Dortmund are not having the best of seasons domestically. But funny enough, they've been very good in the Champions League. They've been one
yeah,
of the high,
absolutely.
they're one of the top scorers in the Champions League so far. So
Yeah.
they found a way to get it done. So
Yeah, no, they have they have a number nine in Guresi who's in his form of
accuracy,
his
yeah,
life as well. He's banging in goals for fun. He's clinical and against a Barca team that can be that can be interesting at the back depending on how you look at it. They can be a bit
yeah,
careless. They can be a bit ambitious and overconfident at the back as well. So, but
yeah.
this is business football right now. You make a mistake, it's way more costlier than when you do that in a group stage game. So. I'm indeed a bit worried, but equally confident that Barca should have
You're
enough
confident, yeah,
quality to get past
yeah.
to this one, especially given that it's over two legs. I would prefer it if the second leg was at home because Signal Iduna Park is never a place that is easy to
It's
visit
yeah,
for any away fan.
yeah. I think.
So it's important for
I
Barca to
think
not give them something to hold on to while they go there.
I, th- I think you've already played you've already been to that stadium this in
Yes,
this Champions
yes,
League so far.
yes. And it
I
was a
think if I
hard-fought
remember correctly,
victory as well. It was
I've
3-2.
3-2 on the night. Yeah,
Ferran Torres, yeah, he had to make
yeah,
a very late goal. There was a brilliant assist from
yeah,
Lamine Yamal to make that happen. But again, that was group stage, and this is knockout football. So,
yeah.
and if Barca wants to do business, they need to do it very early at the Olympic Stadium, the Montjuic, and try to give themselves some advantage and something to hold on to when you go away from home. Because if you go otherwise, if you give BVB a lifeline, then the game gets even way more challenging. But anyhow, It would be more of a surprise if Barca doesn't make it through.
Okay, because it's I think with Dortmund, they're one of those teams that you don't quite know what to expect on any
Yes,
given, and
yeah, the potential banana skin. Yeah,
yeah, especially like remember last season they had this they somehow found their way to the Champions League semi-final where they faced up against Paris Saint-Germain and Mbappe, and for some reason PSG just could not find a way to get the goals in. They had I think they hit the post across two legs about 4 5 times home and away, and they just have that way of just making it ugly, grinding out results in the big games like this, and then taking it back home where they have amazing support as well. I think they have a very good they have a very good goalkeeper rate. Kobel, I think I rate him quite highly, and the defender Schlotterbeck. But they also have this ugly side to them where they're a bit Tottenhamish, where when you have high hopes for them, they always find a way to let you down. But I hope they can give me something because I need that smile. I need to,
no,
I need to see unhappy because I hope my guy Kurasi can do it as well. Because
no,
Kurasi he has 10 goals so far in in this competition. That's more than Lewandowski, and
yeah.
that's quite
Probably that's
impressive.
because he's
And
played two more games too. So
well, that's debatable, but no one really cares about that. So yeah.
no one or you
So
don't care.
yeah. But I think with this time we both expect Barcelona to make it through, and
Yes.
that should be fun. Then the last time the quarterfinals,
That's my favorite one, Inter Bayern Munich. That's
yeah,
the one I think is the most interesting one because it reminds me of what Inter Barca was under Mario Pep, if my memory serves right. When Inter nicked the victory. Um, I, I think it was more attack and attack from Ambassador side, and Inter knew how to get the job done and disqualified. I expect
yeah.
to see that with Inter Bayern, and I think that when I watched Bayern Munich's game, besides the last round against Leverkusen, I see that they play with an added pressure this season, and I'm guessing maybe it's because the final is hosted in their stadium, and they probably feel a pressure
That's
to want
yeah,
to be a part of it,
yeah.
and that makes them a bit too desperate in the way they play this season, and it's affecting their composure in the Champions League. But also that could be
Yeah.
under motivation because I mean, how many clubs would dream of the opportunity to play Champions League finals in their home pretty much? So that's going to be
And
something that will drive them.
and yeah, and they also have history in that regard. Being playing in the Champions League final that's held in your home stadium when they played Chelsea in 2012, where they lost
So
to Chelsea on the night. So I think
yeah, so
that's obviously extra motivation. Well, I well for me personally in the last round, the team that impressed me the most was Bayern Munich, and not just the team, but also the coaching and Vincent Kompany's coaching, the decisions he made in
I
across the
mean, yeah,
tie against Bayern Leverkusen, and one player who are sort of asked to have a big game in Bayern Munich colours, especially in the Champions League, or especially against a team is familiar with a fellow Bundesliga team, Bayer Leverkusen. He was outstanding across both legs. So if Harry Kane is on form, you can always expect him to score and create good goals as well. But with Inter Milan, they have this. They come with this.
there's this
They come
grit
with
about them.
yeah,
It's hard
exactly.
to break them down.
They have the grits. They make it they make it a tough game physically. They're one of the few teams that can match you physically across the pitch. But also have some fantastic technical players: Bastoni, Barella, Lautaro Martinez, Thuram, Dimarco, if he's back fit. And I feel it's gonna be, you know what? This is the game that I find the hardest to call so far.
Yeah,
I'm genuinely
I find it difficult to call. Who plays home
because
first?
the Germans play in Germany first, then they bring it back
Mm.
home. But I find because even as much as loved what a bit of what companies doing at Bayern Munich, they still have this. They're not practically. I'm still not sure what they're trying to do, how safe this team is at the back, especially with Manuel Neuer's injury. I don't know if he's back, but
Mm-hmm.
they had a young German goalkeeper Obrick who made his
Mm-hmm.
champion Champions League debut in the last time. I think it was fantastic as well
Ah,
in
yeah,
the
yeah, he kept a clean sheet.
second.
He
Yeah,
had quite
yeah, second
good
leg.
number of saves. Yeah.
He made some fantastic saves against Leverkusen. But I
Mm-hmm.
think with Bayern Munich, it's always. I think if they can. I think their problem is they make their games a bit too exciting sometimes. And if they can find a way to just keep Inter Milan at arm's length, especially to two strikers, especially Lautaro Martinez and Thuram, because it's also difficult coming against a team that plays with two
Two
number
forward.
nines. But though they both play in different ways, but it's always difficult to come against. Probably depends on the form they come into the tie as well. So I think it's a very tough one. I'm quite torn on this game. Um, but if I was to, if you had to nail me down to a decision, I'll go Inter Milan. I think Inter Milan. I trust Inter Milan to make it through this time because with they have in my opinion, one of the best coaches around.
Yep.
He has Simeone Inzaghi. He has this team well coached, well drilled. They're
Mm-hmm.
not, and especially with the way they play with a three at the back. And with just touch briefly on discussions about Ruben Amorim and his time at United, where people in English football have seen this formation as a defensive formation. But I think a guy like Simeone Inzaghi has taken the blueprint of what guys like Conte, Allegri did with that formation, and he's taken it to the next level with his tactical flexibility across the pitch. Like sometimes you see guys like Bastoni, who's a traditional a centre back, popping into midfield, running down the channels, running down the wing as a left wing back as well. So it's a very unique style of play they have over there. And but I feel one of the areas where this tie could be won or lost is the fact that Inter Milan are competing on three fronts for the rest of the season. In a quite tough title race the Serie A. I think Bayern Munich are just about one hand on the Bundesliga so far. So there's that flexibility in terms of rotation across the time. So that could be a big factor in
And
that time. But
keep me honest, is Bayern Munich out of the German Cup?
yeah, they are. So they just got the Bundesliga and obviously the Champions League
Yeah.
left in season.
Yeah. So as well as much as I hope Barca makes it, and then I think of the Barca Bayern game as as an interesting one, right?
Yeah,
Um, I think Inter will go through, and the reason why I feel Inter will go through, especially having the second game in San Siro.
yeah,
If they keep the scoreline respectable in Munich, then they have something to protect. And you know, the interesting thing about um this Inter side, I think this Inter side is a bit more of a refined product of what we expect the Atletico Madrid side to be this season. Not to say
yeah,
anything against Atletico, but I feel like there's a reason why Inter Milan has the most clean sheet by a mile, like probably some three
yeah,
or four
yeah.
games more than the next ones
Yeah,
in this competition.
they've only considered two goals so far,
Yes, and I think one of
and
which is penalty as well.
yeah,
So
exactly the last game. Yeah,
yeah, so Bayern is free flowing. I mean, five goals right against Leverkusen tells you that, but I don't think they will get too many goals against Inter. And Inter is
yeah,
not just solid at the back, but they have the capability to bite you up front too.
yeah.
If you and I don't think this Bayern side is very solid at the back. So
Yeah,
that's where the
but
game will be won and
yeah,
lost.
but also in attack for Bayern Munich, it's also less. It's important to touch on the form of a few of their players alongside Kane. Well,
Yeah,
Michael Olise has been
it's been
is
sensational.
silently having is a
It's been
very
sensational. He's
good
having a
season.
productive season, very productive
Yeah.
season. Like when you talk of a
So
player who stepped up to a big club
yeah,
and fit in quite well. Yeah, he did
yeah,
that. Uh,
because yeah.
Yeah.
and Jamal Musiala, that's
Oh, my G,
another
my
star boy as
G,
well.
my
But I
G.
feel another guy that always seems to get under the radar when it comes to discussions of midfielders or best players around. I
Hmm.
think is Joshua Kimmich. He's finally found his groove back since he got rid of his since Dominic got rid of Tuchel, where I think Tuchel had him in a cage. So, Tuchel had him in a crate. Tuchel had him. I think.
By your definition, Tuchel will have every player in the cage, Frank. He would have
Well,
every
well,
player.
well,
Yeah,
well,
no,
well,
Tuchel will be
well.
responsible for every player's mishap. But
Yeah, yeah,
I can argue a case on this one because
yeah.
yeah,
It's,
it's been a different
yeah,
Kimmich
different. Yeah,
since
and
his
it's
departure.
also and to a bit of reward for his descent from his signed a new long-term contract with Bayern Munich, and it seems I think that's where. And I know a lot of people they'll go Kane, Musiala as one of Bayern Munich's best players, but I feel Kimmich is the player they cannot do without in that team because no one in that team comes close to his capabilities on the ball in that midfield, and that's
No,
one of the players I've been enjoying watching recently. So yeah, that's so I think
no,
that's
no.
so that's it. Yeah.
While I agree with you, I feel like this is the game that might expose Kimmich because it does that this Inter Milan side is very quick on the transition, extremely
Okay,
quick on the
that's
transmission, and very
yeah,
technical as well. You probably would imagine that that Inter is all about industry, but
yeah,
there's a huge
yeah.
technical ability from those players in the middle of the park, the transition,
They're,
the quick touch, the
they're
lines.
very
Yeah, so
they're very vertical team from back to front.
yes,
And again, the two strikers, Lautaro, Thuram space, Lautaro's touch and technique,
yeah.
just dropping a bit further back. But that's interesting But I think overall it will be. I expect it to be a very entertaining quarterfinal this time around. We'll
Yeah.
get some. I hope we get some good. Also, hope we get some good games, good football, a lot of goals. I always love goals in Champions League. That's when I feel when goals keep flying. That's when I feel Champions League at its best. So yeah, that's on the Champions League. So let's move on to our next discussion topics. What do you have for me?
Okay, so I really want to pick your brain rather, on
Oh,
some of the
yeah,
things that are interesting going on in one of the most exciting leagues in Europe this year, in
yeah,
La Liga.
yeah.
So just so people don't get it confused. So
Just just in terms of the title, it's just as exciting as the Italian Serie A. So continue.
Well, technically, yeah. But
Yeah,
we
yeah.
have three horse powerful race going on right now in La Liga. And if my memory is correct, we're looking at, say, 10 games to go. I know that Barca probably have a game in hand. Probably they would have 11. But after this
Yeah,
weekend, it's probably going to be 10 games to go. And
yeah.
if nothing, if nothing too interesting happens on that um, Clash of the Titan this weekend, Barca Atletico or Atletico Barca rather. If nothing,
Oh, let's go past it. Yeah.
yeah, if nothing changes too much in the dynamics of that match, because it's interesting. If Barca defeats Atletico, they go what 4 points ahead of Atletico with a game in hand.
If Barca defeat Atletico, they go. Yeah,
They go four
yeah,
points with a
but
game in hand,
yeah, they go for
and if they do lose to Atletico, then they go
they
and
go
then
a point
they
behind.
yeah they go
They go 2 points,
points 2 points
2 points.
behind with the game in hand. So
Yeah,
and then the interesting thing is that up until last week, um Atletico had an advantage to preserve because, of course, for some of us, for some of our listeners and viewers who are not aware of how it works in La Liga, it's a head-to-head over goal for in when two teams are locked on
go
the same point and whatnot. So Atletico had that advantage because they went to Montjuic and they came
they
out with a
have
victory, right?
they have the advantage, but just do you still? I know mathematically they're still in it, but do you still think it's still a three-horse race? Because I personally I find I see it as a two-horse race, not. And I think to
Mm.
be honest, I've always found it to be a two-horse race because I know mathematically there are three teams in it, but I feel or I expect at some point, and I expect it to Atletico Madrid. And this weekend again, I could be wrong, and results could go that way, and they managed to put a gap between them and Barcelona. But I expect them to just fall away at this stage right now. I know they have the added advantage of not being in the Champions League. I don't know how happy they are about that, but
Mm-hmm.
it's an advantage nonetheless.
Mm-hmm.
But I, f- I still find my overall issue with Atletico Madrid still is part of what is how they go about playing football games. And part of the reason why they are as good as they are, but sometimes I feel they don't have, though they've shown for large parts this season. I think they had that running, was it a run of 14, 15 games where
Mm-hmm.
they had 14 straight wins. And since run cycle was broken, they've been a bit patchy in terms of their form. I think they have two wins out of the last five in the league.
Yeah.
And I don't know to what extent other competitions have affected that, the Champions League and the domestic Spanish Cup as well. But personally, I feel like Atletico Madrid, and if unless results change this weekend, I expect them to be out of this title race. But then it goes to, okay, it comes down to Barcelona and Real Madrid, who are favorites from here on and going forward. And how do you feel about Barcelona's aspirations for the title?
Well, just like you alluded to, like you literally took this off my mouth. So, if the result goes in favor for Barcelona this weekend, then I think it's a wrap. If Barcelona goes with a 4 point advantage over Atletico Madrid, Atletico Madrid will
Mhm.
be out of the competition. Effect well maybe it could still get interesting, but that would put Barcelona in a much more confident
Mm,
position, knowing that
mm,
depending of
in the
course on the
driver's
timing
seat.
of the depending on the timing of when the Osasuna game will be played, because there were conversations around having that game played during the
Has
international
any
break. There's nothing
well,
firm yet, so um
it's not possible. It's probably going to be played towards the back end of the season
yeah.
when the Champions League situation has been sorted out, because we still have the domestic cup as well. So
Yeah, because the more you keep, the more
there's
you keep that game, the more you defer that game, the more of an advantage and a pressure point it becomes for Barcelona too, depending on how you look at it. Because if you defer it, it's just like you just have a wild card waiting somewhere while you continue to play around with the existing game, right?
but
Game week.
yeah, yeah, exactly. Because I feel that because a lot there's depends on, because we see sometimes when especially in title race, when one team is a bit ahead or behind and they have a game in hand, it's always fascinating to see how they perceive it. Is it a positive or negative? But I feel in this situation with Barcelona and the nature of the title race in Spain right now, I feel that's for Barcelona. I think that's is a massive positive, because if results go Barcelona's way this weekend,
Mhm.
they will be on. I can't remember, but
You'll be on
I
the
think
same
they'll be
point as
about,
Real Madrid.
yeah, same person,
They'll
yeah.
still be on the same point as Real Madrid.
So
But then
exactly.
they'll
So
have a game in hand, and then right now they hold
they
the
have
head-to-head advantage over Real Madrid.
exactly.
And then there is also still another El Clasico to be played in Barca's home. So
Yeah.
that
It's-
counts for
it's-
something, right?
there's a lot of moving parts that can swing both ways in this conversation.
Yeah,
But I feel
but I
with
just
that
feel
game,
like
with that,
on
I
the
feel
second thought, I feel like regardless of the results with Atletico Madrid this weekend, or for if Atletico loses this game, right? Um, they will then have extra bit of rest compared to the other two, you know, contenders. That can play in
well,
that can play that can become an advantage, because technically it means that for now from now there on, in the remaining 10 games of the season, right, they would have significantly more rest besides the game against Barca
yeah,
in the second leg of the Copa,
yeah,
right? And then obviously the final, if that is if they make it there, right? So that's also
that's true. Yeah,
so that's
but
something that because I feel like even the point that was dropped the point that they lost against Getafe. Yeah, I believe it's Getafe, and
That's
it was a derby right
yeah,
last
Getafe
weekend.
last
Yeah,
last
yeah.
weekend.
So I saw tired legs there through and through. This is coming off a 2 or 3 days rest period after playing an
Yeah,
intense game with Real Madrid, and also keeping in mind that right after that, in a couple of days, they're playing another intense game, which again stretched
yeah,
into extra time. So all of those things,
yeah,
like if they
yeah.
find a way
Because
to just settle through those dust, I think, in my opinion, I think they might still finish ahead of Real Madrid.
well, I'm sure you think that.
Yeah, no, I think they will. And again, just looking at the fixtures
Yeah,
lineup as well, Atletico
mm,
Madrid have, after today, they would have played most of their difficult games. It doesn't mean that they played Barca, they played Real,
yeah,
they
but,
played Atletico
but
Bilbao. I mean, those are three out of the
yeah, I
top
know.
14.
Yeah, I
And
know.
then the rest, like for example, Barcelona is going to play Atletico Bilbao on the final day of the season. Um, and Real is
But
still going to play Barcelona. And for
yeah,
example, what happens is that if Atletico are still in touching distance to Real Madrid before the El Clasico, they will be rooting for Barcelona to do the job against Real, and that can also put them. So they're still.
yeah.
My point is that strings can still pull either ways.
Yeah, to this, yeah, yeah. Well, my like you said, you made a point that they've played on paper they play some of that more difficult fixtures already. But my favorite Atletico Madrid is what I saw last weekend against Getafe. It's how they went to a notoriously probably one of the worst teams you can play in Europe right now, Getafe. That this is a team that has no intention to play football. They're there to no, no, like
Well,
I
it's a
think
taste of their own medicine. That's why I was laughing. Like
yeah,
usually
yeah,
you've been the
exactly.
person that's
Like
administering these pills, and one
it's
time you have it right
it's
for you to swallow. So
yeah, exactly,
no sympathy there.
and exactly that's the point. Like getting beat by a team that uses the same dark magic you use is not a good look. And especially what's happened with the fallout from the time in the Champions League against Real Madrid and this big game coming up. I'm not quite sure. I'm not sure where their head is at with Atletico Madrid. Can they? Because we've seen teams in the past where after a couple bad results against in big games, they can't get their feet in again. They just go
Yeah,
the other way.
yeah.
But
Like we
also, it
saw
can
in the
get
game.
well.
Sorry to cut. Also, like we saw in the game earlier between Liverpool and Newcastle, you could clearly see the hangover from a nasty defeat to
Yeah,
PSG, the fatigue of the
yeah,
extra
exactly.
minutes played, and all of those kind of things. But for this Atletico Madrid side, and this is me going beyond being respectful, they have in terms of squad depth, they have the largest squad of you know very
But
high
yeah,
quality players. So,
yeah,
but
yeah, they have. Yeah,
it's just that given the magnitude of the games, right? It's
yeah,
you're almost gonna stay in that bottle of temptation to actually put your best foot forward. That means even regardless of the squad depth, you still want your number one to be your number one, right? So
yeah,
maybe in subsequent fixtures, then they can have the flexibility to bring in more of the players who are on the fringe. Like for example, they had to start Solot against Getafe last weekend. I think it's
yeah.
another
The
anticipation to give some rest to I think it was Griezmann, and
Alvarez and
so
Chris.
and it's unfortunate for them
Yeah,
that Andrea Correa picked up a red card and
yeah.
wouldn't be able to participate in this game because he's one guy that Barcelona players wouldn't want to face. It brings something
Okay.
different to that squad. But anyhow, it's still very interesting. I still feel like the Champions League for both Barca and Real Madrid will still play a factor into how they would make their team selections, the consistency of their results,
Yeah,
etc.,
yeah.
etc.
And I think this at this point in the season in the European calendar, I find it strange that we have international break coming right up in this because it's
Oh,
because
don't
because
get me
because
started.
it just seems like everything's getting set. The table has been set. The meal is ready, but we can't eat yet. We can't sit at the table. We just have to wait a bit longer for someone to come. And it seems that we're waiting on the international break to be done and dusted. Then we
Yeah.
get we get to the
But
business end of the
I
season.
think it's the
Well,
last one for the last one for the
Yeah,
season, right?
exactly. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. It's the last one. And with also, I just found out. I think there's they have World Cup qualifiers and they have the Nations League something. I think the Nations League playoffs or whatever. Like I really don't know. But it's just with the international break, unless it's like tournament football in the summer, you know what it is. It's the Euros or the on World Cup. But when is this in between season international breaks? I have no idea what games they're playing. I just turn the TV on. Like, oh, they're playing Nations League today. Okay, Nations League. Okay, this is it. Let's watch. Or they're playing the World Cup qualifier. I have zero clue what's going on when it comes to international
Yeah, the
football
funny
because
thing
it
is that the funny thing is that whenever there's international break, I'm checking the roster of, you know, Barcelona
yeah,
players,
yeah.
and then I looked at it. This particular one, my goodness, they left Balde. They didn't call him. I was so excited because it's one position where
Exactly.
Barca does not have a lot of cover, and a lot of people might not be giving Balde the shout out that he deserves. But I think
No,
he
break.
is one of,
No.
if not the best left back right now. He is one of
Well,
in
well,
that
well,
conversation family. I can't really think of
well,
better left backs to be
uh,
honest across the season right now. He is one of those. But feel free to tell me if you think otherwise, because there's
well,
Menzies from PSG.
I,
Go.
I think off the top of my head, I think that there are a few I can think of,
I
and
would like to
I
hear
think
them.
starting off with his fellow countryman as well, Cucurella. I think Cucurella has been a more solid
Okay.
left back than him this season.
I think
Odd,
playing against Wigan, Copenhagen. Huh?
no,
I would be
again,
solid playing against Copenhagen.
you know what? I could be wrong, but the Spanish national team agrees. So
I'm happy they give him the rest
yeah,
and yeah,
yeah, that's true.
of course it's logical for why there's you don't need to be a football expert to understand why Cucurella should take that position above
No, it's a
Balde right
very
now because again
it's
the national team is trying to preserve the crop of players who did the magic in Euros. Nothing has fallen apart. You don't want to really go there and reinvent the wheel or
but
break
even
it. But even at that, I feel
but
like they
it's
did Barca
also
a huge favor to have him rest,
yeah,
regardless.
that's true. Because even because I was checking with I feel and this is a discussion for another day in terms of what Chelsea are doing. The fact that Chelsea have their two starting midfielders going all the way to South America, in Caicedo and Enzo to play in
That's bonkers.
playing to play in God knows where at God knows what time and come back at God knows when next week.
And
I
hopefully
think
not
yeah,
with
two
bandages.
weeks exact. So it's I think that's always an anxious wait for me. But yeah, do we? I think we've got some questions for each other. I want to flash out
Yes, some
before we go.
juicy
Just
conversation. I'll be
just
excited. I'll be excited for
okay,
that.
okay, yeah. Okay, let's go.
Okay, so with a lot of controversy, feel free to let us know your opinion on the comment section, our amazing viewers. Let us know because Frank and I have had this conversation in the chat room, outside of the chat room. We've been going back and forth with it, and I feel like right now maybe you guys can help us out. Maybe probably it's one of the editions where we can put out a poll and see to what percentage of our viewers
Yeah,
agree and disagree on this point of view. But it's subjective, but it's also very controversial. So here's the statement. I firmly believe going off the performance of this season as a liner. Okay, so the caveat here is this season. Okay, I firmly
yeah,
believe Raphinha of Barcelona is one of the favorite, if not the favorite, to win the Ballon d'Or. Going
yeah.
by the performance this season, and of course, the controversy comes with an assumption that Barcelona, wins the Champions League and wins the La Liga, or
You
possibly even win
say
the treble,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
And I think if that were the case, right? I think if that were the case, and Barcelona wins the treble, right? Or significantly goes head and shoulder above most of the competitor, I feel more of his contenders for that Ballon d'Or would be his teammates. And my amazing colleague here, Frank, believes that he is not the favorite, and I'll let
Okay.
him go ahead and place his argument.
Oh yeah, yeah. So okay.
No,
In
I'm
terms
sorry. I
regarding
also
this
missed
convo
out something. I also missed out something before you go off. Not only
yeah,
does Frank not believe that Rafinha is not one off or is not
I don't know.
the Ballon d'Or winner, Frank doesn't think he would make it to the cut in that conversation. It's probably not going to be up there in the top 10.
Well, you know what? You know what? Top 10 might be a bit.
Oh,
It
but that
could,
was what you
but I don't
said
think if
before.
it.
That was what you said
Yeah, yeah,
before.
no. Yeah, yeah, I get that, but I know again it's a top 10. You can squeeze 10 people into it.
Okay,
So even
okay,
just
so
off
fine.
top
I'll
of
do
our
you
head,
a favor. I'll do you a favor. It's not going to be in the top five. Let's just say I'm giving you a
yeah, yeah,
five
no,
number
yeah, okay,
discount.
exactly. Top five, I don't think
Oh
it makes
my
it there.
goodness, that's
And
bonkers.
and wait,
Can't believe you right
wait,
now.
wait, no, no. See, but also feel I feel all this talk about Ballon d'Or, and it's coming from one side, one specific side of the football community. That's it's the side based in Spain, Barcelona, Catalonia, red and white, Spanish Crystal Palace, that club. This whole
Okay.
because I feel Ballon d'Or conversation right now in March before we don't know who's playing the Champions League semi-final yet. We don't know who's winning these
No, but
big
everything is
trophies in
tentative,
Europe yet.
right?
Yeah,
But
exactly. Yeah,
I
exactly.
wasn't
I get
seeing
it.
the same
But
respite. Go on, sorry.
I think yeah, I feel it's a bit premature. But you know what? I will engage and indulge in this conversation. And one of the reasons why I'm not really I don't really see Raphinha as one of the favorites for the Ballon d'Or whenever it comes I think at the end of the year or so or next year.
Yeah.
I just I feel just a few points. Again, I could be wrong, I could be right, I can see things completely wrong, and that's fair. But
You're
these are my
obviously saying
opinions,
it
and
wrong.
uh, yeah, on my opinions alone. I personally don't feel he's not even the best player on Barcelona to start with. I believe he's. You know what? Wait, I'm not. I'll see. I'll even go a bit further and to say, currently, right now, over the course of the season, I don't think Rafinha is one, two, or three best players in Barcelona right now.
And who would you consider to be your one,
And
two, and three?
for me, Yamin Lamar is undisputedly the best player in Barcelona right now. And for me, I think he's undisputedly the best player in the world right now. So any conversations about Ballon d'Or when it comes to what, with regards to what Barcelona can potentially win in the future, that can help a Barcelona player get to the podium, I feel Yamin Lamar is that guy. And personally, when it comes to being the best, who the best player, who the best players are on Barcelona, I feel it's Yamal first, Pedri second, who's finally showing the true promise as Iniesta's successor that was we all expected him to be. And number three, controversially, I feel is number three, Paul Kubasi. Because whenever people watch Barcelona, again, I could be wrong. I watch because we all know what Barcelona are. Barcelona are the gatekeepers of what the true essence of football is, especially Cruyff, Pep, all that stuff, or how they see the game and how they interpret the beautiful game in a very systematic world right now. And I feel very few players embody that ideology better than Pedri does right now, where he's a player that he ticks every box you want from a midfielder right now. The only box you might look at is probably goal scoring, but I think even with that, it's more down to the need of the team. The team doesn't need him to score goals yet. I believe if it was a situation where they needed a guy to come in to chip in with goals from midfield, he could be that guy. But ultimately, I feel Yamin Lamar is like the stuff he was doing against Benfica in the return leg this past week. It's genuinely it's mind blowing what he was trying to not even not what he was doing, but the idea to think about some of the actions. The goal he scored. That is very. I'll try not to invoke the name of the great man himself, but it's very you know who. Like it's very messy. Like the control, the dribbling, even the idea, the vision. I think he got lucky in the first assist, but the goal he scored, the ability, the confidence to get to beat, to drop your shoulder, look up, and fire the ball into where you put it. That is just that's world class. For me, it's beyond world class. There are only a handful of players that are actively playing football right now that can do what he did with that goal and make it look as good as he did. Because you know, some of course there are players that can drop in, you hit it, it goes far post. But the way he went about it is just mesmerizing. And I feel personally, if like you said, if everything goes Barcelona's way, potential treble, potential double, I expect Raphinha, I expect Yamin Lamal to be the one coming out to that Ballon d'Or because I think he's the future of football.
Oh well,
But
while
with him,
while I can't argue against Lamar being the future of football, I still find it a hard pill to swallow when you
why
try
though?
to
Why
undermine,
though?
yeah, when you try to undermine the contribution, effectiveness, and efficiency of Rafinha. Rafinha has been arguably.
I'll tell you why.
Mhm.
I'll tell you why I'm actively trying to basically nip nip in the bud this idea of Raphinha because I feel it's about time football discussions need to not be based on goals and assists anymore. We need to go beyond that. And I feel what's putting Raphinha in these conversations about potential Ballon d'Or in a few months' time is his goal and assist. And for me, that's the general logic. I think is
No,
flawed.
no, I
I
feel like
don't.
football is a
Well,
sport of
just
moment. Yeah, go on.
yeah, but also is also the Ballon d'Or is let's just at the base of it. I know there's a lot more political, a lot more there's a lot more image pampering that goes behind the scenes when it comes to an award like the Ballon d'Or. But I feel it's an award for the best player in that calendar year.
Mhm.
And I feel, regardless of goals and assists, we should not judge the best on goals and assists. Whenever I watch Barcelona, and I think I can say as much as I've hated watching Barcelona because they tend to win most more often than not, the player that I've enjoyed watching them because of Yamal, Pedri, Kubasi, Koundé sometimes, but nobody's watching Barcelona to see Rafinha play football. Though he's having an amazing season, he's been very effective in big games. He's scored a lot of goals. He's done all that. He's working very hard. Again, this is not knock on Raphinha. I think his development from the last 2 years in Barcelona, where he found it tough, to the player he is right now in Barcelona is a testament to hard work, grit, and determination. Where he's one of the captains at Barcelona, that's very commendable. I respect that. I actually love what he's doing. But at the end of the day, when we talk about Ballon d'Ors and all these best player awards, I don't think yeah, Raphinha should be getting to this because if we start and this is why almost as much as I wasn't really happy when Rodri won the last Ballon d'Or against going up against Vinicius, I took it as a hard reset into how people saw football, where we think past the goals, the assists, the flash, all that stuff, and we think about generally who are some of the best players on the pitch, who are the guys that are very important. And I know all the guys that make it to the top five or top 10, they're obviously important to their teams. But we need to look at guys like you see, Tony Cruz was another shot last year that could possibly have won it. Guys that are very, very good on the ball. They not just that you can't measure that game or their importance to their team by goals or assists. Like it's not we all see how Man City are struggling right now without the current holder Rodri. And again, this is not to say goal scorers are not important; they are important. But I feel we should find a way to appreciate the guys that are genuinely playing good football consistently. And I feel Yamin Lamal in the last year or so, I can't think of more than two players that play better than Yamal week in week out for club for country regardless of what they've won, I think he's been the best player that I have seen in the longest time.
Well,
So
like I said, while I can argue a case for Yamal against Yamal winning the Ballon d'Or, if he does win it, I genuinely like the guy. I enjoy watching him equally, right? But when we talk about the Ballon d'Or for the season, right?
yeah, yeah,
Um, you think about moments. Football is the sport of moments, right? Like for
yeah,
example,
yeah,
a certain Vinicius comes alive at the knockout stages of the Champions League, and that is what people will remember. When we think of the Karim Benzema's Ballon d'Or winning Yeah, it was the moments, the clutch goals, the decisiveness to the games, right? Um, and now we think about
Didn't
Rafinha.
sorry the question. Didn't Vinicius score a hat-trick against Barcelona in one of those cup games you play in the desert against
Uh,
Vinicius? I think I remember where I think Arroyo or Kunde got sent off. He scored a hat-trick that day, no?
um,
Okay, yeah, okay. Just I think so,
no,
but
no,
just
because the last one,
the
Barcelona
Super Cup
won
or
five
something
two.
like that.
Yeah, the Supercopa Barcelona won
No,
5-2. The one in
not
La
this.
Liga, Barcelona
The
won it
pre,
4-0.
no,
So, or are you? You're not
no, I'm
talking
talking
of
about
this season?
not this season, last season. Where
Oh yeah, yeah. So
in that
that yes, in that yeah.
okay.
So talking about
No,
moments, then there's no. I'm not like I'm
yeah,
not disputing. Yeah,
yeah, okay.
I'm talking
No,
about
no, no.
moments. Yeah, if you bring that in, why not? That's a shout for Vinicius. I would not debunk him for that. Right. The same way,
Okay.
I don't feel
No,
like it's gonna be a fair conversation for anybody to debunk a guy who probably had scored more goals against Real Madrid than the games he has played this season against them. So I can't debunk that too, right?
who's that?
Raphinha has scored more goals against Real Madrid than the number of times he's played them this season. So
I mean, okay.
and even looking beyond that, we're talking of a guy who has scored just one penalty, right? And he has here over 20 something plus goals. And it's not just stopping at the goals, the assist as well. And and I think Rafinha is very integral to whatever it is Barcelona is trying to do under Hansi Flick.
That
That is the point
that
I'm
is
trying
true.
to get.
That
That's the point I'm trying
that
to
is
get
true.
out. Why we look at the gloss of the goals and the assist and all of that, but if you look at time in the run, like again, I was the guy at the start of the season or when the windows were open, right? I was the guy that said, let's go get Nico Williams. Okay? I am one
Okay.
of those, and I'm not
Because
and I'm not in any
because
way
yeah,
I'm not in any
no.
way
He
going
saw it. He
to
saw
to
it.
to sweep that under the carpet. I said, let's go get Nico
There
Williams
were
because I
plenty.
did like the idea of having two pacey wingers that can beat their man, that can get into the box, that can be involved in decisive moments, right?
Yeah.
And it was just on paper, on imagination, even trying it out in PlayStation, it was already electric to think about it. And then the season
Okay.
starts from the first whistle. Rafinha is like, I am that guy. I have been
He's on
disrespected.
the
I have been
yeah.
on the loot, but I am that guy. So he picked himself up. He cleaned up the mentality and he shut us up. He shut me up to start with, and he shut a lot of other people up, right? And obviously, there's some people
Yeah.
that he's still yet to shut up, but hopefully, he gets to shut them up eventually. But this
By
guy
scoring
deserves his
goals
flower. So, not so again,
no
see,
no
he's not scoring
no okay.
tappings. He's not scoring. He's not scoring tappings. He's not taking on sitters. He's scoring hard-working goals sometimes. He's
Yes,
making those
I
runs.
ac-
He's getting
I
on. He's
acknowledge that.
giving. He's giving his teammates opportunity to find him. He's
No, yeah,
telepathic with Rafi with Yamal. Some of the beauty that
yeah.
we enjoy from
Eh,
Yamal is because there is somebody at the other side that is equally of the wavelength to understand what that movement is about. So he's moving a
and
bit
this
more intelligently than he has done in recent seasons. He is, for
okay.
me, the most successful Barcelona winger in the last 5 years, if you put Messi aside. Yes, I will say that confidently. Yes, and this is talking about a club that has gone
So
through
okay,
the Joao Felix, that's gone through the Griezmann, that has gone through the
Java,
Ousmane Dembele, that has gone through,
it's
the
not good company. It's that's not good company
No, I'm
to
just
compare with.
I'm just
But
telling you that
yeah,
there's been the highs and the lows, and I'm not even going for the deeps of the deeps.
okay,
The only moments I
okay.
can think of is Ansu Fati was another guy that came from the wings and did things really good, but probably injury and whatnot didn't do it for as long as we wanted. So if all of those things put into context, because I feel like a game that Rafinha would miss for Barcelona. And again, we are also not giving enough credit to his fitness. I don't
What
remember him being out
was
for too long.
I think there was because you said you made it you said he's been one of Barca's best wingers in recent years.
Hmm.
Raphinha, right?
Yeah.
I think, but there was I think there was Barca's win percentage like when Yamal doesn't play.
Oh yeah, it's absolutely disastrous. I'm not
Oh,
going
okay,
to gloss
okay,
over. It's absolutely
okay, okay,
disastrous. The
okay,
games, the
okay,
games that
okay. And
the games that Yamal didn't play, Barcelona struggled to even get some draws. Like I can easily cite some examples for you. The Osasuna game, and etc. etc.
yeah,
Yes,
yeah,
100% on that. But to Rafia's credit, you can't even count personally, and I believe it wouldn't be an overstatement if I've said if I still have watched all Barcelona games this season live, most of
yeah,
them,
yeah,
right? So
probably,
and
yeah.
I can't think of 3 or 4 games that Rafinha didn't play.
Okay, that's okay,
So
okay.
he's consistent,
I've
he's
got
fit, and he's delivering.
okay, I've got two questions regarding this topic before we move on
Hmm. Hmm.
move on from this. Just again, would you, like you said, you are a Barcelona champion, you champion your team, you watch your team. Do you think or do you believe Raphinha would be in these conversations or these hypothetical Ballon d'Or conversations without the goals and assists he's put on board this season?
No, he's not gonna. It's not gonna be anywhere
Okay,
near in these conversations. But those are the
okay,
rewards
okay.
for being being in this
So
conversation is part of the perks of
ha-
of
has he
of
scored more
adding that contribution.
has he scored more goals than
No,
Lewandowski this year?
nobody has more goals and assist contribution than Lewandowski this year. Yeah? And Lewandowski is the designated
Okay.
penalty taker too.
Yeah, no, but still, but we saw Messi and Ronaldo with designated penalty takers for decades at their respective clubs.
Yeah, yeah,
He
yeah,
doesn't.
absolutely. But I'm just
You
telling
still,
you that he
but
has just one penalty
no,
goals despite the numbers. That's all I'm saying.
yeah, and I feel just the long and short. I feel that's exactly why I hope he doesn't even get there because I don't want this award to be no because this is again this is not something against Rafinha. I like Rafinha. I'll give him his flowers. But when it comes to this conversation about this, there's certain players that I want to see bestowed with that with this important trophy of being the best player in
Hmm.
football that calendar year. And for me, I don't think Rafinha is one of those. And I don't the same way people are like I don't I doubt people don't watch again I understand Rafinha does a lot of amazing work for Barcelona. But when it comes to the spirit of football, the excitement, the joy of watching players play, go out there, doing that stuff consistently week in, week out, I honestly don't want to see Rafinha win the Ballon d'Or. Like, you know, but if it gets closer and Barcelona are looking like they could get something shaken in these competitions, I will actively have to start a anti Rafinha Ballon d'Or campaign on social media to make sure I stop any any potential momentum going forward. Because I feel if Rafinha wins the Ballon d'Or, it will be disastrous for football. That's just my point.
Well,
I might be going over the top, but that's it.
but
Okay,
just
moving
just
on.
just just because we don't have a clear demographics of all our viewers, but I just want to put something
Yeah,
out there, right? Just in case
yeah,
we've got young viewers who aspire to become professional footballers, who aspire to become the best player at some point in their lives. There are a lot of qualities you can pick off Rafinha. He's an extremely hard worker. He is,
yeah, yeah,
in
yeah,
my
yeah,
own pair of lenses,
yeah.
he is the most
But that's the
disciplined
problem.
Brazilian footballer
No,
I've
no, no,
seen
no.
in a bit, and nothing condescending
Yeah.
towards Brazilian footballers in terms of he is disciplined. Like he is very disciplined, um,
Brazilian football is
professional.
dead. If Rafinha is one of the best, then Brazilian football is dead. Because again, let's remember when like
No,
obviously
I didn't say
we're a
he's one
bit
of the best Brazilian player. I
we're a bit
said disciplined Brazilian footballer.
listen.
Yeah, yeah, because
Yeah,
unfortunately
but exactly.
it's not something that we frequently attribute to them. He is
Yeah, I know,
he is
but
disciplined. He's hardworking,
but I know
but he's
I know
clearly
we're a
not
bit
the most talented. He's clearly like in terms of talent,
okay.
he's
Simple. Yeah.
clearly
Okay.
not the most
Okay.
talented.
Simple.
Yeah,
Okay.
and the Ballon d'Or is not an
Uh,
award for the most talented footballer. It's not. If not, Messi wins it every year, in my opinion. I don't think the
Yeah,
Ballon d'Or
and
is
again,
the award for the most talented player. If not, we
but
can just start at the start of every season. You just start sending the pass to Messi, as long as he kicks the
yeah,
football. So,
but Messi,
so
as much as Messi was the talented footballer probably of all time, but he wasn't necessarily the only talented footballer in his time bracket. He also had
um,
not just him, but not just him. There's Neymar, there's Cristiano Ronaldo, all these other guys. That's a different conversation for another day. And I know if we touch that topic, we're going to be here all night.
yeah, all
So
night. Yeah. So let's just keep that in the
let's
parking lot. Maybe one of the editions.
we'll
Let
keep
us know if let us know viewers if you want us to have
one
that retro conversation
one
of
of our
of that conversation. But
exact exact. I think that's I feel for that we need to come with our shin pads, elbow pads because
I
it
get
might
very
get very
feisty.
it
But
might get
I
feisty.
always love a
So
good
okay,
fight. So no, no worries.
okay. So just another quick one, and this is one of the conversations we had. Um, Raphinha or Ademola Lookman, who do you think is a better player right now? Let's know. Let's just a quick one,
Better,
quick one.
better player.
Yeah, because I think because I was thinking about it recently in terms of that position right now, left wingers, because it's almost we don't have we don't really have a variety of them anymore these days that operate at the top level. You're looking at guys like Cavadona, obviously. Dembele is a bit more on the right wing and false
Mm.
nine. This season. There's Cavadona. There's Bradley Barcola, PSG as well, who's doing some nice stuff. They obviously have Raphinha and Ademola Lookman in Syria as well.
Oh, I think you're
And
missing
I
out on
think
your
off
boy. You're missing on
who's that?
Vini, yo. Oh, you missing him out?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Oh
Oh
yeah,
yeah.
okay, yeah.
Oh yeah.
I'm
Exactly.
just
See.
here to
Yeah.
remind you. Yeah, of course.
No,
Uh,
no, 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 no. But again, like you said, there's always like there's a hierarchy to this. I see, like the guys I was calling guys that are just putting it together, are not really. Like Vinny is the standard. We talk about guys like
well, I
Liao
beg
that
your
are trying to
pardon.
get.
What standard are we talking about?
Vinny, let's back to
Okay.
the question. So right now who do you think is your favorite left winger right now? I know obviously Vinny is Vinicius Junior, Rafael
Okay.
Leao.
Okay. The
You've
truth is no. So the truth is this, right? With a lot of bias, I'll gravitate to
of course,
Rafinha. With a lot of bias, maybe because I
yeah,
watch him the most, right? But I do watch a
yeah,
lot of
that's fair.
football as well, and I watch a lot of this football, a lot of the names that we've mentioned, and there are things, bits and pieces of this individual footballers that is admirable, right? I like Ademola Lookman as well. I like the idea of him growing to be the player that he is right now, especially when you piggyback on his history and some of the challenges to get there,
Yeah,
right? And even the way he handled adversity at for
and
internal club,
perseverance,
yes, and
and
perseverance as
yeah,
well, and even being cast
yeah,
aside a few times. So I admire all of those. I admire the talent of Rafael, not so much the results or the output.
yeah.
Okay.
The production, yeah,
Yes,
production.
and just like Nico William too. Every time and it's so funny how when we watch these footballers, we kind of adjust our
Yeah,
stratoscope
Nico,
and we kind of because when
yeah,
I watch Nico Williams, I'm like, okay, maybe if he does something and he doesn't pull off, I'll be like, oh my God, the guy would do it in another 2 years, and he's gonna be like, whew. You see, so I adjust that, and then that same style of play when I watch Vinicius doing it and he's not getting injured, I'm like, what are you doing? So immediately you start to adjust what could be and what it
yeah.
is, right? And but to the point, um I think Rafinha will walk into as many teams and be a starter that Ademola Lookman would walk into, in my opinion, right?
Okay,
So for
okay.
example, if I'm just saying, for example, if and we're going off the season, right? We're going off the season. Or we're talking about
Yeah, well, we're going. I think because we also have to. Because I think I also.
because why I'm saying this is that if we're not going off the season, I don't think Rafi had
I
been a
think. I,
traditional
th-
right
I,
winger at any
I
point.
think we have. I think we have to use because let's not be victims of the moment. Let's not exclusively say. this is. I feel like look at
No, but
players that have been
I
consistent
feel like
for
everything about Rafinha right now it's momentary
because like
because we were not
yeah,
gonna have
exactly,
these
and
conversations about Rafinha at the end of last season. Even as
us,
early as
yeah,
preseason, we
so
wouldn't. So if we're gonna
yeah,
have any
I know,
conversation where Rafinha is gonna be in the mix, it has to be absolutely from the start of the season up until now. And we're literally 2 months
yeah,
to
I
the
know,
end of
but
the season. So it's
yeah,
still
that's true.
yeah.
But
Yeah.
I
So
think so so like we're saying, say Vinicius is because he's been that guy in recent years where he's you've
uh-huh,
seen what he's done. Real Madrid has
uh-huh,
believed
uh-huh,
in that
uh-huh,
team.
uh-huh,
I don't think I don't think we've seen anything close to the best of Vinicius comparable to his previous season this year around. I feel he's
uh-huh,
I've been you know how much I love it. I think for me it's one of my best players to watch
uh-huh,
these days. But I've been it's been very underwhelming so far this season. So there's a discussion to be had there somewhere, but I think that's going to be for
uh-huh.
another day.
Yeah.
And what is his future going for? But for me, I think undoubtedly the best one of the best left wingers around right now is Ademola Lookman. And it's not just it's because again
No, there's a
I
good
just don't
shout
look
there,
at the
honestly. There's substance in the
yeah,
conversation,
because
honestly.
and with him, it's not just. I always look at the overall package, the body of work, the consistency, the amount of responsibility these players shoulder on their teams. And one player you mentioned, I forgot to mention, but that you did mention was Nico Williams. And this was a player that was touted for a big move in this last summer to Arsenal or Barcelona. But I almost feel it's almost. I believe it's been a blessing in disguise that he managed to stay back at his hometown club, Bilbao, because I don't think he's quite ready for that movie yet. Because it's still, you see, I was lucky to watch. I watched him, I think a few days ago
Against
against
Roma.
Roma in the Europa
Yeah.
League. Like you see, that's probably been his best performance this season. But it's a player that still needs. You can see he's still growing into the player he could become coming off the international the Euros with with Spain where he was electric. I think that's one to watch for the next year. I believe he's going to be on a lot of clubs radar, the top clubs. I'm talking about Barcelona, Bayern Munich, Arsenal, Man City's, all the top clubs. But I think Ademola, look at what he's done, not just even for Atlanta, the hat trick he scored in the Europa League final, first ever hat trick goal scorer in the Europa League final. And this consistency for a club like Atlanta, the amount of responsibility he showed up for that club, and also for his national team as well, because we saw him last year at the African
Nations
Cup of
Cup.
Nations
Yeah.
when he represented Nigeria. I think right now he's the best Nigerian player. Also winning African Player of the Year as well. So I feel
Uh-huh.
he gets ball because I watched him against Juventus last weekend, and the amount of danger he possesses on and off the ball, the pace, the trickery, the finishing. He's a player on another level, and he's always. I feel a great deal of pride when I watch him play football because he plays it like because sometimes you see some players and you just question like, does the guy really want to be here? Is he just doing it as okay? I'm just playing football. I'll go back. But whenever Lookman plays football, he really goes about it with the right attitude, right intensity, the right penetration as well, and always and to add to that, good finishing. I feel Lookman for me is probably the best compared with Raphinha and other, but I feel another one that's really catching the eye is Bradley Barcola.
Oh
Uh,
yeah.
I think
Oh yeah.
he's another one.
That
He's
kid is
another
on
one that's
fire. Oh yeah. Oh
he's
yeah.
another, especially with what PSG have been doing recently,
Oh
playing
yeah.
without
No,
a
absolutely.
a, a, co-
Absolutely.
a quote unquote traditional striker. They have those three guys, Cravadonna, Dembele, Barcola, all floating. The football they play at Paris right now is so good.
No,
But I think that was just
Bakula is a good guy. A
like
good one.
yeah. So whenever I think about guys like Bradley Barcola, L- Lookman, Raphinha, this kind of guys, and this is not a knock on any of them, but they've all been exciting to different degrees this season. So whenever I look at watch these players play, and I watch my beloved Chelsea play, um, it saddens me how far we've fallen.
It's safe to
That I
say
have to
your
watch
beloved
Jade.
that you're not with whom you're not well pleased. Is that it?
Well, yeah. But it's a shame how far we're falling. That I have to watch Jadon Sancho play for my club every week.
Well,
If 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 we're highlighting players for the overall displays on the pitch in that specific position, that left wing, that side of the pitch, like you see the guys, all the guys they've called. I also think you can also have the reverse discussion. Guys guys that are
I'm
not
so,
quite no you
I'm
see
so sorry, but I just have to laugh it
no
out. I'm so sorry.
no. See, you know what? I'm vexed again. I'm mad. Guys, like, see, if there are any aspiring young players or any fathers or mothers that have a
Uh,
project, they have a young kid, male or female, they're starting a project Mbappe or project Sam Kerr, and you're trying to get your son or your daughter into football, or any young coaches that are trying to motivate and inspire young footballers worldwide. Whatever Jadon Sancho is doing, do the opposite. Whatever he does on the pitch, just show them as a lesson in terms of what you don't want to become as a football player going forward for a big club. Just show them Jadon Sancho. I've never in my life seen a player get loaned to another club with an obligation to buy, and his new club are finding legal ways to go around the obligation to buy. They are finding ways, they are willing to take a penalty to go around that obligation clause for a permanent transfer. That's how bad Sancho has played for Chelsea. Sancho has gone no. Sancho has gone not matches, not weeks. Sancho has
um,
gone months without a shot on target. I'm
yeah,
not talking about
yeah.
goals or
No,
assists. No,
see,
no. Sancho has gone months without a shot on target. And this is the guy I have to watch week in, week out.
oh my
Because
goodness.
and
Mm.
and again, like, because I have this general idea that sometimes, like, this thing where sometimes I say, okay, no, you know what, this player is not good. I always try to reframe that conversation. Okay, you know what, okay, maybe this player is not quite good enough for this level. He needs to find his level. Like, like, with like Modric was another one. Like, Modric in the Premier League was not so good, but Modric in the Conference League was Rivaldo. Was scoring, creating goals left, right, and center. But Sancho, e- even the Conference League, Sancho could not get anything going on in the Conference League against an average Copenhagen team. And this is the guy I have to watch week in, week out.
I feel
Like,
genuinely sorry for you and all
no, no,
Chelsea
no.
fans that have to do that. But again,
It's
you guys wrote your fortune, right? So there's a funny thing, right? You This is a
yeah.
guy that has notorious record for making excuses why everything is wrong but not him. And you've somehow got yourself in a contract situation with him. Right. So there are
No,
players who
yeah.
need to go on the retribution run. You fall off the cliff from a big club, you go to a club that is not anywhere close to being big, and you rediscover yourself and you try to be marketable again. Like a case in quote, a Memphis Depay. A Memphis Depay was, off the roof. He got himself a deal into
Yeah.
United. Things didn't work out, and then he started to adjust all of that. Went to, I think, Lyon, right? Got himself back into people's radar, and somehow managed to get a deal in Barcelona, and then get himself another deal in Atletico Madrid, and then evaporated. But this is a player who, at some point, you can tell had some self-criticism and realized what he could be doing different, and you can see that turnaround, and you can understand that this is a player that might have not
And
fully met his potentials, but yeah, you can see another example is Anthony from Man United to Real Betis. We're witnessing it this season. This is a player that had so much buzz because I remember once upon a time it was a debate between Anthony and Raphinha to Barcelona, and some part of the media
wow.
believed, yeah, honestly, at the days from Ajax, it was a huge debate,
Oh,
right?
but okay, but
But to
just
the point is this: Anthony wasn't that guy as we could see in United. But what did he do? He went to a Real Betis. No disrespect to Real Betis, it's a very noble club. I even think he's fortunate to get himself a good slice there. And
Yeah,
he's
yeah.
working his way back up to people starting to say, okay, you know what, this guy might not be the bomb that we thought. But for Jaden, somehow he's gone BVB, Man United, Chelsea, in current position, in current position of things, I think Chelsea is a bigger club than United at the moment, based on what you can achieve on the pitch.
Yeah, yeah.
Somehow he managed to
Especially
finesse a club of that size to give him a contract. And now, a few
with
months down the line, we're having this
and
conversation. Unfortunately, I do not have sympathy for Chelsea. And
again,
you guys need to go back
yeah.
and look at it. It's just, how do you trade? How do you say, I'm tired of Sterling, go? And then you
Oh
bring Jaden. How do you do that?
no, see,
And then, how did you
you know
even?
what?
You just got Sterling like a season or two ago. You made the same mistake, and you're making it again.
No, and again and again with Chelsea because I always try to be balanced when it comes to this. But I feel this I genuinely believe you can't coach bad players, and you can't coach players that are not willing to improve themselves
Yeah,
technically
like
off the
for me,
pitch. So
when I
yeah,
look at a footballer, when I look at Jason, right, or Jaden, rather, when I look at him, I don't see a fit guy. And if
no 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 Jason, you know what Jason? See,
when I look at him, I don't see a fit guy. And for me, if you're a footballer and you cannot pass the eyeball test of fitness to me, I don't get involved
you
in a
know
conversation with you. No, I don't. You're not in your 30s. You're not at the rundown part of your career. I don't look at you and see you as fit.
there's
He looks more
there's
like a
literally no
rapper
reason
than a footballer.
there's literally no reason for Sancho to be playing this badly. And it's not again, it's not a competition of okay, he's not scoring enough goals or he's not creating enough goals. It's just down to the basics of football in at any level. Today I saw Sancho I'm referencing the Chelsea Arsenal game today. That was a pretty poor game to watch. But it's going to be a poor game to watch when a guys like Sancho, Martinelli on the pitch and whatnot. But I saw Sancho. I've seen Sancho, and I saw him again today. Not once, not twice. He physically there's a ball to be won. Just contest for the 50-50, contest for the header. Get your leg on, put your leg out there. You win the ball. He literally ducks out from a challenge. And whenever he gets the ball on the wing, he tries to get a move going on. He can't. He passes it back. Like there's no amount of coaching because again there's Chelsea head coaches get a lot of flack. I see there's no amount of coaching that can change what this player is doing. And like you said, it's not that you just gone for I don't know how you managed to get fooled by Sancho, but it's not that you got fooled by Sancho. You got fooled by Sancho and Joao Felix in the same window.
Mm-hmm,
How do you
mm-hmm,
how do you expect to
mm-hmm,
go anywhere
mm-hmm.
when
Absolutely.
you have to rely on guys like Sancho, Felix, and Nkunku? Again, Nkunku is another one where he's
I think we need to zip it at this because we're opening a Pandora box that we can
yeah,
uncover
yeah,
in another
yeah,
edition. I think we need
yeah,
to
yeah,
zip
yeah,
it
yeah.
right now. But
I think so. Yeah, let's wrap it up. Let's
but
wrap it up.
anyways, I think
And so, but
we
I
did
think
cover everything. We covered everything that we intended to.
yeah,
We
no,
gave a bonus
just
session as well.
I think before we go, let's I need to talk about my guy, my guy. A lot of people called me foolish. A lot of people said, "What do I know?" When I said Eddie Howe was the best English manager around. Not, I didn't say this. I've said this for like the last 10 years.
Yeah,
Now
no,
this
good
is when
shout. Good shout.
the first time I saw his Bournemouth team all the way back in the championship with guys like Charlie Daniels, Tommy Olphik, Jan Commergood. I think the football they played in that promotion season to the Premier League is some of the best football I've seen at that level. And the way he got Bournemouth promoted and kept them in the Premier League for a few years was his crowning achievement. But I feel his magnum opus has been at Newcastle, getting a club that was flirting with relegation stable in the Premier League, and also going a step
Cost a lot
further,
of money.
getting them into the Champions League as well, where they had a good experience last year. This season they're still in the conversation, but I feel bringing back um, a trophy to Newcastle after seven. I think it's 70 years. I could be wrong with that stats. But
Yeah, but that's a long time.
after 70 years of barring of a trophy drought, that would be that is a statue worthy achievement at that football club. As always, I know sometimes there are some clubs that we might not be fans of, but we have this great appreciation for those clubs. And for me, I think Newcastle is
Because
one
it's
of
one
those
of
clubs
them.
where I
Yeah.
always
Yeah, you can talk the
like you
heritage of
watch when
English football, you don't talk Newcastle. No, you're right.
exactly like you talking, yeah. So I feel that's a big shout out to Eddie Howe. It's got across the line, and there's always I feel like I'm not Newcastle, but I feel I feel a bit of a sense of pride for his achievement because he's been one of those guys that is one of the best
No,
coaching minds in English football right now.
no,
And
absolutely.
and and again, it's not just that he's winning, but the way he goes about, the way he's managed to build that Newcastle. I know it's again with great financial help, but how simply as like Bruno Guimaraes, Tonali, Jolinton, and obviously the main guy, and Isaac, go from strength to strength with his coaching and with his direction. That is just great testament to the kind of guy he is and the coaching and his coaching prowess. So congratulations to Newcastle Football Club and my guy Eddie Howe.
No, and yeah, and also I
Yeah,
think I should give you some proper shout out on this one because you've kind of always
yeah.
stuck by the notion that he's an
No,
amazing
it's not.
coach. You've always said that he
Yeah,
has the potential to be one of, if not the greatest, um, you know, kind of how do I put it, emerging version of recent coaches that is
it's
in English.
and I also feel it's because again there's this another I think I read that now for another topic another day. There are a lot of young coaches coming out right in the last
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
6 7 years, and and some of them have gotten some big jobs at some big clubs, and I feel
mm-hmm.
some of
Certain
them.
mistake of yours.
Oh well, yeah. Well, Shana Frank Lampard is doing an amazing job at Coventry as well.
At this
Five,
level
five,
now.
five straight home wins. Then
Yeah,
conversation for promotion push.
of
But again,
course.
but I feel there've been a lot of coaches like even guys like Mikel Arteta, for example, Maresca. We've seen even I'll go as far as Graham Potter, who got the Chelsea job, and it seems they've been fast tracked into big positions quite quickly. And some of them have drowned, some of them are still
Mm-hmm.
learning how to swim on the job, some of them are just borderline dead, dead in the water. But with a guy like Eddie Howe, this is a guy that's like if the more if I implore people to read and watch more about his coaching philosophy and how he sees football. This is a guy that I think when he was relieved of his job at Bournemouth in his last season at Bournemouth, he took time out of his all he had was free time, but he went to Atletico Madrid and he spent a great deal of time with Diego Simeone studying his training methods, learning a new language because he felt learning another language added a bit more layer to his
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
coaching capacity. So that's the guy that you see, and I feel this is why I'm very happy for him because he's done it the long way. He's come all the way from Championship football. He stayed a few years there, comes to the Premier League, keeps Bournemouth up, then gets a big job like Newcastle. And I hope this is the start for him. I hope because whenever any big job comes around in the Premier League, the Newcastle, Tottenham job, Chelsea,
Mm-hmm.
I'm always okay. Eddie Howe, and he hasn't quite got. And I hate to. I know this is a moment for Newcastle to celebrate. I hate to pimp your manager around, but I genuinely feel with the kind of guys getting big jobs, like again Maresca, this is this is Maresca's first Premier League first job in top flight football. I think, yeah, and he's got a club like Chelsea. I feel a guy like Chelsea they can't do any worse than giving a guy like Eddie Howe. If they had to find a new permanent head coach, for me, simple as that, Eddie Howe over anyone. And for me, this has been my sentiment for the last, I think, probably 7 to 8 years. Just give Eddie Howe the job. Can you see how the kind of, I feel the manager that's ready for that task. Not just even the club football, but even the international team.
Yeah,
Depends
yeah.
on
What's the
What Tommy T gets up
aspiration?
to because. Because you see, he has all the talents for a great coach, and you just need to see how he takes players or players with lesser quality to greater heights, like a guy like Callum Wilson all those years ago. So
Mhm.
big shout out to Eddie Howe, and congratulations, Newcastle fans. Yeah. Do you have anything to add before we go and enjoy our last game of the weekend?
Oh no, I do not have anything to add, but it's been an amazing time coming back to the show. I always love it. It's always a lot to unpack.
Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah,
with the international break looming, I'm sure you'll see more of me and we'll kind of figure out more
yeah.
editions to come.
We have
Um,
yeah, we have a special episode coming, cooking this international break, so watch out for that.
right, perfect. But until then, it's been amazing, and let us know what you think about the Rafinha
Like,
conversation.
share.
Let us know what you think about Ademola Lookman. Please don't forget to like and share. And until next time,
Okay, okay. Thank you. Bye,
all right,
guys.
take care. Bye.